We are now ready to dive straight back into our afternoon agenda, and we begin this afternoon with a keynote from one of the country's foremost authorities on digital resilience and national security. Get ready for sharp insights on how technology is reshaping the security landscape across all sectors. Please join me in welcoming to the stage His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Al-Kuwaiti, Head of Cybersecurity for the UAE government.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be with you here. Thank you, ADGM. Thank you, all the guests, the partners who've been here. I've seen a great, mashallah, partner and enthusiasm with all of the great topics that actually covered by AI. Everything, as a matter of fact, now is themed by AI. So if you follow the UAE and seen so many of those national strategies in this regard, and the vision of the leadership, we are moving towards an AI nation. By the centennial of UAE 2071, that was and is a goal to actually march towards that AI nation. And it was broken down into milestones, and the closest one is the 2031, where we are, as a matter of fact, as well, to build many of those aspects in AI. And I'm sure you've seen so many great partnerships, hyperscalers, as well as, mashallah, in any and every sectors, a whole great digital transformation have been touched in those sectors. Now with this vision, with this great, alhamdulillah, enthusiasm that's happening across all of those sectors, it's very important to realize the importance of cybersecurity. Technology, definitely, there is no 100% security, as everybody says. However, we can achieve that 100% security if we really follow many of those guidelines and many of those compliances. And again, an example of that is, mashallah, ADGM, with their great academy, with the fintechs that's happening across many of this. You will see very great resiliency that actually happening across that sector. UAE today have issued, as a matter of fact, almost a month ago, our national cybersecurity strategy, which focuses on 5 main pillars. And those pillars support innovation, support definitely the tolerance, support the governance and the policies that we are actually already working on, as well as support, and the most important things is the mission that we are tailored for, protection and defending. And that's what we actually takes all of our time in order to protect and defend all of our infrastructures. We've seen attacks. Last week, as a matter of fact, number of attacks reached to more than 200,000 attacks. That includes DDoS, includes ransomware, includes phishing attempts, includes APTs. And those APTs are the most important ones that actually leverage many of the 0 days that's happening across many of those sectors. And guess what? Those 0 days were created by AI agents. Many of those AI agents adversaries have used in order to build and fuzz any of those systems in order to find that vulnerability. We did the forensic, we did the analysis, we did many of those aspects to discover, yes, it's not only an agentic AI those adversaries now using, they're using it, as a matter of fact, to exfiltrate data, to build up malwares, ransomwares, with a great complexity that is not easy to detect. Now, the good thing that, alhamdulillah, and I'm sure ADGM as well is one of the major connectivities that we have today in the NSOC. That NSOC is powered by AI. Our defensive mechanism, our first line of defense from a technological aspect is that next generation AI national SOC, which, as a matter of fact, as well uses AI, uses agentics AI, using so many of those, alhamdulillah, great technologies with the great partners who are not only building the sovereign aspects of technology, but also the hyperscalers and public data and many of those aspects, because again, SMEs, partners, academia, and public as well as private sector is very important to us as we are hosting all of this into our infrastructures. There are 4 new regions happening in the country. Alhamdulillah, you've heard of the great partnership between Ittisalat, E-and, as well as Amazon, AWS. You've heard as well from the great hyperscalers with Microsoft and G42. You've heard the great partnership we did with Google, as a matter of fact, in building the center of excellence for many of those cybers, as well as building those infrastructures. And I'm sure many of those you've heard of. Alhamdulillah, all of this is aligned with the great enthusiasm of moving towards an AI nation. Well, that's what we are working with you all. We cannot do this ourselves. We need everybody to be our first line of defense, especially as we are here today and the year of society, the year of community, as announced by the leadership. That year of community, we depend on that society, on that community to be our first line of defense. Well, that's what we've seen, as a matter of fact. Cyber crimes has, alhamdulillah, decreased compared to so many adaptation of technologies. Yet, the awareness of the people when they get a scam or a fraud or even a social engineering, now they question that call, they question that link, they question many of those messages or email, even if it's written in a very nicely way that is used by AI. Well, alhamdulillah, what we usually protect from a national level is those 3 categories of threat. One is cybercrime, which we all, I'm sure, have faced any kind of this cybercrime. That includes fraud, scams, impersonation, deepfake, or any of those phishing emails that we see, or you name it, ransomware. All of this comes into that. And by the way, those cybercrimes have cost the whole world more than $9.4 trillion. And this is estimated to be as well increased by 2025 to reach up to almost $10 trillion. And who's counting on that perspective? Because our data is priceless, sometimes to us all. Even if you put a price there, we still actually value it into a more of that perspective. So that's cyber crimes. Then we protect from cyber terrorism. And this is where you see the misinformation. This is where you see the disinformation. This is where you see the social media using and sending many of those radicalized messages here and there, or targeting any of those, again, be it election, as we've seen in many of those aspects, or be it, as a matter of fact, our youth, or many of those younger generation who are adapting technology more than we do. We need definitely to protect that society. And this is what we've seen, alhamdulillah, with the great educational system that we have, and now introducing AI into that education system based on the leadership aspects. It's very important for us to protect that younger generation. And this is one part of that cyber terrorism. Another part of cyber terrorism is taking down the critical infrastructures. And I'm sure you've heard of the outages happening here and there. You've heard of the attacks happened on the healthcare systems, not only in UAE, but worldwide. But alhamdulillah, the resiliency we have here and the great partnership we have is actually continuing in building those aspects, be it in IT or OT. And I'm sure you've heard of the financial sector attacks. And this is again one of the major priorities for us, is to protect that financial sector attack, and greatly partnering with ADGM, with the central bank, with so many of those entities in order to achieve that resiliency. Well, alhamdulillah, we've seen great result in this access, great trust, as a matter of fact, as we're building that and enhancing that. And the third category of attacks or threats we see in the cyber domain is cyber warfare. And I'm sure you've heard of that cyber warfare, given that we are in the middle of a conflict area with the geopolitical aspects happening across us. And many of those transactions, considering UAE is the hub, alhamdulillah, with all of the great things happening here, many entities trying to leverage or pivot from these infrastructures to conduct attacks to others. Well, that's what we've seen. Well, that's what we are, alhamdulillah, taking a good protection as well as defending of any of those aspects. So those threats, what we did in order to protect our community, to protect our infrastructure, to protect any of those. Definitely we announced that national cybersecurity strategy with the governings, with the policies, with the building, with the protection, as well as with many of the partnership and innovations. And those are the 5 pillars of that cybersecurity strategy. And at the same time, we have done so many initiatives, one of which is, as a matter of fact, with ADGM, where we build greatly as well in the perspective of educational system, reskilling, upskilling, as well as really building those capacity building of many of those aspects. We did, alhamdulillah, as well, the initiative of Cyber Pulse, and I'm sure you've heard of that, which is a culture of cybersecurity that we need to spread across the whole community. They need to be our first line of defense, and they are, and they're helping us in order to build up that great security. Well, alhamdulillah, Cyber Pulse really adding a great value, not only on the younger generation, but also on the CXO and in the leaders, and working together in order to achieve many of those aspects. We've done and we've doing, as a matter of fact, almost 1 month ago, we did the financial sector drill, which has a great number of, alhamdulillah, financial entities working together with us in order to conduct this cyber drill, mimicking, simulating many of those attacks, and as well as checking the readiness between all of those entities and the way it's actually working in order to respond to many of those attacks. Alhamdulillah, that's what built our readiness, that's what built our resiliency, and we're continuing doing that, as a matter of fact, in every sector here in UAE in a monthly basis, with a general overall drill across all of those sectors, alhamdulillah, twice a year. And we're continuing this with NCEMA, the National Emergency and Crisis Management, as well, under the Supreme Council of National Security. So many of those efforts, alhamdulillah, happening, and we need to do more. The more we adopt this technology, the more we need to be ready for any of those attacks, even from a personal level. Our data, our privacy, many of the things that we do, we need to have a hygiene of cybersecurity into our DNA. And that's what we are working with everybody to partner in order to achieve such perspective. So our message is, again, clear and simple. Cybersecurity culture need to be embedded in everything that we do nowadays with this great digital transformation. And we need everybody to adapt that. We need everybody to be a part of that. We cannot do it ourselves. We need you all. Thank you very much. And again, looking forward to do the panel as well today. And I hope this event will benefit you more and more as well. Thank you.